underwater.
Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome back, y'all. Welcome to Top Earner, episode 2. Now listen, Leroy is making a lot of money. He's made almost $250,000, more money than he would have made in probably 10 years working at the factory, and he's come clean to Crystal. She knows everything, and she's not against it. She just wants him to be smart. So she's opened up the door for him to feel freer to do whatever it is that he thinks he needs to do to make sure that they're safe, that they're protected, that they're, you know what I'm saying, going to be okay. This is about their household and nobody else's. They made a decision together now to do whatever they needed to do to make sure that they could live the type of lifestyle that they wanted to live. Now, this has a whole lot of ramifications. Most of the time, most people don't even consider how it's going to affect the way they move and groove and live the rest of their lives, right? Especially in the immediate period while they're making that money. So Leroy doesn't understand that Big Al is paying attention to these numbers. And he knows that Leroy is hooked to the game. See, let me tell you something about the game. The game is just as intoxicating as the people feel when they're on the dope. I'm telling you. Listen, I'm not trying to say that it's as bad physically on a person, because a person is injecting or inhaling or snorting drugs some kind of way, getting drugs into their body. Yeah, it's going to affect them physically in ways that it won't affect the dope boy that's selling it to them. But the addiction to, on the mental aspect as far as to the game, it's just as strong on the people that sell drugs. It's hard to walk away when you've gotten a taste of everything that lifestyle brings you. See, when you're a dope boy, it's almost like you become the most important person in your space. And you do. Everybody calls on you for any and everything that they need. Now all of a sudden you're the smartest person on the block, or you're treated that way anyway. You understand? They listen to you. They do what you say because they see you as somebody that has done something that they could not do. Right? And you got all of this money. And a lot of people equate money to power. Money to influence. And they give that to you. So now Leroy is feeling a lot of pressure from Big Al. Because right now, Leroy is still pretty much hidden to the dope game within the city that he lives. Because he goes outside the city, picks up, brings it back for Big Al. But Big Al has got plans, because I told you in the first episode, Big Al is going to show Leroy that he is no better than him. And that plan is going to help Big Al also financially. So he gets to win. He gets to prove a point because his heart is sour, that Leroy is no better than him. And he's going to get richer in doing it. Big Al wants to expand outside of the area that he's in, right? And to expand, he needs somebody to go in that area. And this is going to suit Leroy just fine because he doesn't know anybody in this area. And they don't know him. They don't know him. Not yet. They don't know his past. They don't know where he's from. They don't know his history. See what I'm saying? So when Big Al presents him with this proposal and says, look, you want to make more money? Leroy asks him, how? How can I make more money? I'm cool with what I'm doing. Don't nobody know what I'm doing. I'm straight with this. So Big Al tell him, look, you were concerned about people knowing about you in the hometown. He said, I got a good plan for you where won't nobody know about you. And then you will still be able to get your bread plus some. So now Leroy is interested. So Big Al tells him the plan. He said, look, a couple of cities over, I got a spot. And I need somebody to go down there that can get that bread for me, and we can chop the money up. So when Leroy says, you mean chop it up? He said, what do you mean chop it up? 50-50? He's like, no, not 50-50. He said, I'm going to give you 40% of everything you bring in, and I'm going to take 60%. Now, listen to me. That is going to make Leroy money go up tremendously. From $250,000 to almost $700,000. You understand what I'm saying? That he'll be able to make in a year's time if he does this. You understand? This is his part of it. This is what he gets. This is what he gets out of this one place. Because back in the day, that money was booming like that. I'm telling you, that money was booming, y'all. So Leroy, he goes home and he talks it over with his soon-to-be wife, Crystal. And she doesn't like it at all. She doesn't like it at all because she was all on board with the idea of him going out, picking it up, nobody knowing. Because she still works. She still works. So she's still around people that look up to her, you know what I'm saying, as a role model in the community, that still talk about Leroy as he's a role model and somebody that works hard but has fallen on hard times, and they're sticking it out together, and he's working these odd jobs and they're making it work. See, it's people that she hang around with that still see Leroy as a law-abiding, upstanding person. But she knows the truth. And if he goes into this other town and he exposes himself in the way that he's going to have to expose himself, being in charge of this spot, she's afraid that it's going to some kind of way bounce back and reflect on her and him, because somebody might find out. He ain't just the one running up and down the highway now, incognito. He's finna be working out of a dope house. And she's afraid that he's going to be found out. She's not afraid of the fact that he's going to be selling dope. She's afraid that he might be found out and it's going to bring embarrassment to her and him. So she tells him that, but then he tells her how much money he's going to be making over what he's already making. Over that. And her eyes light up. She's drunk on it now. She's drunk on it. She will never be able to make that kind of money working where she works, and he would have never made that kind of money where he works, and together they still wouldn't have made that kind of money in 20 years. Absolutely not. So they sit down and they talk about it over dinner and going back and forth over all the do's and don'ts and all the things that could go wrong that people sometimes don't sit down and talk about. Well, what happens if somebody comes up in the house and then, like most people that's involved in the dope game, say, no, the spot that we're in, they don't, you know what I'm saying, the police don't come over there. Well, that's a lie. But they tell you, look here, we all tell ourselves that we got the rock solid plan. We all do that. We tell ourselves whatever we need to tell ourselves so that we can go do whatever it is that we need to do to get this money. So after they eat and discuss it, they do what they do. They go make love again. And he lays in the bed while she sleeps, thinking about all the things that he's going to be able to do and how he's going to be able to provide for her in a way that he would have never been able to provide for her before with the job that he had. And that's the kicker here. So the next day he gets up. He wakes up. And the phone rings. Guess who's on the phone calling him? It's his old supervisor. Well over a year later, they're calling him and asking him would he come back to work. They ask him how he's doing and all this and that and what he's got going on and all that old kind of stuff. And he has a choice to make. And he tells them, no, I'm good. So they said, well, if you change your mind, you know what I'm saying, you can always come back, your family. Now, when he hears them say that, he gets angry. And he said, family wouldn't have done to me what y'all did. And then he hung up the phone. See, that anger that he shot out at them, that was because of the decision that he had made. See, in business, you have ebbs and flows, ups and downs. And sometimes some people get laid off. Sometimes you get called back. But that's business and it's legal. And no, it's not always fair. But when you make a decision to go do what you do, and it turns out that it's going down the wrong path, and you're more angry at yourself than the people that fired you or let you go, you don't realize that you're angry at yourself. You don't realize that you take it out on the people that you feel like set everything in motion, rightly or wrongly. Rightly or wrongly. But see, that's what happens when you delve off into this world of this darkness. You start to forget about all the things that you learned when you were being raised by your parents as far as being a responsible person, taking care of your own, and sometimes sacrificing and doing without. He didn't want to do without. He struggled for a small amount of time, and then he stepped deep into the game. And now he had an opportunity to get back into the world where everything is legal and get away from all this other stuff, and he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. So he goes to Big Al and tell Big Al, you know what I'm saying, let's do this. And see, in this world, the dark world, ain't no contracts. They don't write nothing down on paper and sign it. They shook on it. They shook on it. Let's get this money. So now Big Al starts to tell him about, okay, look, you got to go here to pick this up, and then you go there to drop this off, and you take this to the house. And he showed him, you know what I'm saying, how much money you're going to make off of this and how much money you're going to make off that. And he's breaking this stuff down to the gram. Because in this house, they selling rock for rock. They taking the whole thing up in there, breaking it down rock for rock. It ain't no ounces being sold. Ain't no quart ounces being sold. Ain't no 8 balls being sold. It's rock for rock. Rock for rock. You understand? That's that on that. So he's looking at all the money that he can make. Do the math, y'all. Do the math, y'all. It's a lot of money that can be made. And now, Big Al is showing him how. And now when he starts to look at those numbers, he's getting to think, he's like, dang, I've been going to pick up 4 bricks. Big Al been making this, and I've been making this. And he realizes in his mind that he been played. But that's business. You just a runner. You get what you get. But now he was stepping up into management. He was stepping up into the management role. So now, he finna get some of that money. He gonna get 40%, but he finna get some of that money. And his half was gonna be 700. This is over the year though. This is over the year. And he was cool with that. So now he's up in this house. He getting money. They taking care of the business. Everything is going good. Him and Big Al, they hanging out at least twice a week at night. He's not going home. Crystal is at home by herself. But she cool with that because she going out with her girlfriend. They got money now. They're able to do things that working class people cannot do, just won't be able to do financially. So she's taking all her girlfriends out. They going to the spas, getting massages, doing all these things. They going to the clubs and having fun. They going to these high-end restaurants and having fun. But they're not doing it together. Because Big Al and Leroy, they got responsibilities over here nurturing people in this world. So you got to make contacts, keep contacts. Because you always got to look for new opportunities to expand, new opportunities to get more product, new opportunities to change the prices. All these things are being done so you can make more money. So he has to spend time over here in this world while Crystal is spending time over here in this world with her friends. And what happens in that world when you spend time with your friends and not your man is that you start to meet people that pretend that they can give you more than what the person that provides for you can give you because he's not there. So one night, while they're out at one of these fancy restaurants, Crystal and her girlfriends, a couple of guys come by the table. And they invite them to sit down with them. You know, they're just laughing and joking and kicking it. And Crystal didn't hide anything. She told them that, you know what I'm saying, she was engaged and going to be married. But they're having fun drinking champagne. Everybody's laughing. And she tells them that, you know, her man is busy. He's working. So one of the guys, he's got a slick tongue. He said, well, shoot. If you were my gal, listen to this line, y'all. This is what they say. He said, if you were my gal, you wouldn't be out like this by yourself. I'd be with you. I'd be with you. And for a brief second, she thought about what he said. because she had been missing it. And he had tapped into something. And immediately she felt the loneliness of the situation. Here she was out at this nice restaurant, surrounded by all of these people, nice music playing, and she was not with the person that she loves the most, because he was spending time in that dark world. He was spending time making the money that would allow her to do what she's doing. So now, this dude has got her ear. She's listening to him. Now her girlfriend is talking to the other dude, and now she's talking to this other guy. And they're sitting there and they're having a good time. They're having a great time. And then the waitress comes over, and she says to them, who's paying for the meal? Who's paying for the meal? And the two men, they say, we'll pay for it. So they both, the females, Crystal and her girlfriend, they look at them like, oh. And they let them pay for it. They let them pay for it. And then they all get up and they all leave together. And when they leave, they walk them to their cars. And as they were walking to the car, Crystal's friend and the other guy, they're holding hands. But Crystal wouldn't hold hands with the guy that was walking her to the car. They were walking side by side behind her girlfriend and the other guy. They were in the front, walking to the car. And when they get to the car, Crystal's girlfriend kisses the other guy, and it gives him her number. Now, Crystal is on the other side of the car. And the guy that's with her, he leans in and tries to kiss. She don't pull away, but she don't kiss him back. He just kisses her on the lips, but she don't move away. But she don't lean into it either. She lets him kiss her. And then she pushes him away with her hands and said, no. And then he said, will I see you again? And she says, I don't know. Will you? And he said, give me your number. She said, no, I can't do that. And he said, okay, that's what's up. I respect that. And the two gentlemen, they walk away. Crystal and her girlfriend, they get in the car, and while they're driving away, Crystal looks at her and says, you better not say a word about this. And her girlfriend said, I ain't gonna say nothing. Got nothing to say. You're a grown woman. You make your own decisions. Now, in the meantime, in between time, Leroy is taking care of the business. He's been honest with her since he came clean, told her everything that he's doing, how he's making money, how they're going to be able to do all of these different types of things. But the one thing that a lot of people in the dope game don't realize is that the dope game is an all-consuming business. It takes time away from all the normal things that people do, because you got to sell the product. You got to always be looking out for the product. You got to always be doing all of these different things that's going to make it okay for you to continue to be able to make money in this business. So now Leroy is facing something that he don't even have a clue about. That Crystal has opened herself up to another relationship. Wait a minute. What's that about? He don't even know it though. So when he comes home later that night, and he gets in the bed and he leans over and she's laying there, and she asks him how was his night? What all did he do? He kisses her and he said the same old usual, gives her a quick rundown. He said, what about you? She said, oh, nothing. Me and my girlfriend, we just went out and had dinner. He said, did you enjoy it? She was like, yeah. He said, you're going to have to take me to that restaurant one day. She said, I will. We'll go out. It's on me. He kisses her again and lays down in the bed. She turns her back, rolls over. And as she's laying there, a tear rolls down her face because she feels guilty about what she's done. And she wants to tell him, but she can't do it. She can't do it. So she keeps her mouth shut. She keeps her mouth shut. Don't say a word. Now, Crystal's girlfriend, in the meantime, is talking to dude on the phone. She's talking to him. And his partner is asking her to give him Crystal's number. She doesn't do it, But he's asking. He's trying to find out how to get in touch with her. So they arrange for another dinner date without Crystal's knowledge. And she tells Crystal, let's go out again. They want to meet us. And Crystal agrees to it. And they go out. But see, this time when they're out of the club, dancing and all this and that. And one of Big Al's workers happens to be there. Okay? And he sees Crystal. He don't know who Crystal is, though. He sees Crystal with this other guy. He doesn't know who he is. He don't know who she is. But what he does know is that he works for Big Al. And Big Al is partners with Leroy. But he don't know the connection yet. And she don't know either. But she thinks because she's on the outside of the city that she's safe. Keep in mind, like I said before, Big Al and Leroy are expanding their operation. And they're going to be all over the place. So now, she's put herself at risk without even knowing. Because that's how the game goes. You never know who's going to know the people that you know in the circles that you run in. So Big Al and Leroy, again, like I said, they taking care of their business. And money's coming in good. But Leroy is missing being home more and more because he's out. He's out. So they decide to take a break. Big Al and Leroy said, look, they're going to leave all the operation to the guys that work for them, and they're going to take a break. They're going to take a vacation. Big Al wants to take his gal, you know what I'm saying, on the vacation. Leroy wants to take his girl on the vacation. So they decide to go together. They decide to go together. Now, Crystal's girlfriend wants to go with her. And Crystal wants to take her along. Leroy, Big Al, and his girl, they have no problem. So you're going to have 3 women out together when they go out, and you got Big Al and Leroy footing the bill, paying for everything. They have it to do. So now they're all taking a break. They're going down to Florida, Miami, Florida. They're going vacation. They're getting way away from everybody. And they're down there having fun, enjoying themselves and all of this and that and having big fun. And one of the guys, the guy that was in the club that saw Crystal with this other guy dancing, he sees Crystal and Leroy together with Big Al and his gal and Crystal's friend. They're all at a table. And when he walks over to the table, what's up, boss? He talking to Big Al. And Big Al said, hey, what you doing down here? He said, man, I just came down here for a couple days. I'm finna head on back. He said, oh, okay. And then he speaks to Leroy, you know what I'm saying, calling him boss. And then he looks at the table. He sees Big Al's wife. He knows her. He sees the other girl. He recognizes her. And he sees Crystal. And he recognizes her. And he looks. And you know that look that a person gets on their face when they see somebody and everything starts to come together? That's how his facial expression was. But Crystal didn't even have any idea because she didn't see him that night. And if she did, she didn't remember. But he put that in the back of his head. That's how the game goes too, y'all. You never expose the whole deck. You never know. Let the right hand know what the left hand is doing, right? But now he knows something ain't right with this picture. Something ain't right with this picture. But later on, he finds out, before he leaves, he finds out that that is Leroy's fiance. And now he knows he got a card to play in this game. And that's how dirty the game get, because now he's not going to tell Leroy this information. He's going to use this information against Crystal. You never underestimate the next man's greed in this game, y'all. You never underestimate the next man's greed, because that's how this game goes. That's how this game goes. Now, got a lot more to tell you, but I'm going to do it in the next episode. But if you want to hear this episode, the last episode, and all the rest of the episodes in season 1 of Top Earner, go to my membership page and check it out. If not, check me out tomorrow, because I got another episode coming for you, right? This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.
I've been trying to breathe, I know.